Welcome back to the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. It really is where we gather together in stories that lift, embolden, and illuminate the world, I think, in an authentic leadership way. And I'm Carolyn Cooper, and today I'm super delighted to share with you and welcome Betty Withrow. And we had the opportunity of meeting recently, and I was so inspired by her intentional position to both lead her life as well as serve within her business. And she is the owner of the Writer's Launchpad, a gifted book coach. Oh, I just got truth bumps on that one. Editor. She's also an author and champion for the voices of people and individuals that are really longing to be heard. So Betty's passion radiates in her work, guiding professionals as well as creatives from this book idea to published impact, always keeping at the center core of what matters most is the heart and the musicality of each voice alive. Oh my gosh, I love that. So Betty, thank you for saying yes. I'm super glad you're here. And your life in the arts and the written word truly brings, a meaningful dimension to leadership. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, what a wonderful welcome, Carolyn. Thank you for inviting me. And I am so delighted that we have met and are getting to know one another, and the conversations that when we first met, it was supposed to be a 30-minute, and I think we went on for an hour and a half. There was so much there.
Well, there was, and there's so much alignment. That's what I felt like, and so much wisdom in this journey of life. And you truly inspired me because, I think it's about learning from each other and our own bold commitment to keep learning and growing in this lifetime and to be this love-inspired leader. And that's what I see you as. So I wanted to share you with my audience. So here we are. So your work really shines a really gentle spotlight on the courage it takes to turn an idea into a message that truly lands for people. So what do you really love most about this heart-centered, purpose-driven, intentional work that you do to amplify these people's voices?
My very favorite moment in that journey is when the author realizes their worth in a new way and starts to visualize themselves in a new way. And for some people, it has even meant a change in their life direction and what they do with their energy and particularly with their message. The biggest thing that people that I work with tend to have, and I think this applies to most authors, is does anybody even care? Does anyone want to read this? Do I really know anything? Am I worth it at all? I've even had top level experts say this to me, and I'm like, are you kidding? You've been like the go-to for 30 years, and you're asking me if this book is any good? I mean, you're out of your mind. Of course, I didn't quite say it that way, but I got this great compliment from a current client the other day. I had gone through, I coached her with some things in her fiction work, and we tightened up the plot, and then I proved it for her, and she said, "Thank you so much because you made me feel like I know what I'm doing." And I was like, wow,
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And so I'm just going to expand on that a little bit because I love everything you said. So where I'd like to go next is it's not just about showing up to write a book. It is the personal development. It is the clarity and confidence that happens when you realize that this story, this language, and this information that are going to go into these pages is changing who they are, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the energy too.
Yeah. And they're not only who they are, but their vision of who they can become.
So
Yeah.
the vision of who they can become by having the courage and boldness to make the decision to become an author, also the courageous decision to invest in you to support them during this transformational journey, right, into becoming a published author. So how do you come together with people within this collaborative, creative journey and process of taking that book from, like you said earlier, 30 years of expertise and into the form in how it's going to be expressed? How do you do that?
Right. Well, in that case that I just mentioned, she had done that development, and I was the one of the editors of it. So I was not on that journey with her. However, the way to answer your question, really, what I do is I ask people, what do they want this book to do? And where are they in the process? Do you have only an idea, or, simply an idea, not only, but simply an idea? Do you have anything developed? Where's your manuscript at? And then I ask them, what do they think they need? Because very often people think they need one thing, but they actually need something else, or a combination of other things. And then the main thing that I do, especially at the beginning, but hopefully the whole time, is to listen carefully to what people are wanting to accomplish, and the things that they say, as well as the things that they don't say. And in that way, I can reinforce what they need in their work. For example, being able to identify the themes that they want to expand on, refining who their audience is and their language and their approach to their topic, depending on whether it's fiction or nonfiction, is it business-oriented, is it personal development, and so on. Each one of these things informs the tone of the book completely. Right. So then we circle back to, what do you want this to do? And here's what I mean by that question. Well, I mean a lot of things by it, but for some people, they want to position themselves in a speaking market, for example. Other people want to develop a lead magnet, or some other business angle for their book. And therefore, we need to really zero in on who their target audience is and the right kind of language that's going to position this book in a way that it does that for them. And then for other types of works, for example, in fiction, then I really want to know, what is the main idea that you want to get across through these characters and their interaction and your plot and so on. What's behind this? What's the idea that you're stating indirectly that you want people to pick up because they identify with your characters in some way?
Cool. So wonderful. I just imagine the adventure and the creativity and the fun that you have supporting these people to expand their vision of it too, as well as the clarity that happens. And, you get to share, and it's like, I don't know. It's like a, incubation, really. It's like, you're going to birth a book here, and let's just go on this creative, expressive, exploring journey together. And I just think that's really exciting. So that must be great for you to witness the transformation of people too. I mean, from your perspective as a love-inspired leader in your business and your contributions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That is, it's a huge gift. I'll give you an example. I worked with a woman who had a book idea and a partially developed group of notes that was sort of half a manuscript. And she'd been wanting to write this book for 15 years at least. The book is about her journey as a mother of a Down syndrome child and the resources that she had learned and developed and communities that she wanted to share with the world. You know, here's what it's all about. My son is my greatest gift. And so we went through her book. She was a wonderful client. I helped her develop an outline. Once she got the outline going, she just floored it. And yeah, it just amazed me with how quickly it all went. And then after we had completed the book, I edited it for her. I did the uploads and so on. But along the way, I started to say to her, do you realize that you could take this to another level because you're connected with these organizations and you could go and speak to the parents and the communities about what you are doing with this book? And she really got into that. Basically, she's an artist and she had a day job. She quit her day job, leaned more into her art, and then started really becoming an advocate to build awareness of resilience in the face of handicapped, the handicapped population. Then she went on and redid the book on someone else's recommendation, focusing only on Down syndrome, because originally it was more into the all developmental communities. And she's just like, every time I see her picture on social media, I'm just like, she looks so good. And, you know, and she said, one of the things she said while we were working was, I never thought that I would be happy to go back and look at his baby pictures. And now when I look at his baby pictures, I'm filled with joy. And I went, oh, you know, like I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about that.
Absolutely. Those are called truth bumps, I call them. You know, I love it because I have a system in my business called the aim high system. And it starts with truth, then trust, then value, then vision. I mean, her vision of her life, and included in the value piece for me, is purpose. She found her purpose, her living legacy, which is, I believe, in each one of us. I see you as living your living legacy in supporting these people too. And she is making such a massive difference in the world with this education, these resources, this information for parents who are challenged and afraid and looking for answers and solutions, you know, for their family, for each other. And it's so beautiful. I love the stories that I hear of witnessing the transformation people go through, as well as how they develop that purpose, that meaning, that passion, that contribution to making a difference in the world. So thank you for that. And I mean, you got to put your head on the pillow at night and go, now that was good. That was incredible. Right?
Yeah. I do love that I'm able to, you know, support people in doing what they, you know, accomplishing things, you know.
And you have such a gift of creativity, and your gift is to see beyond what is. So your gift is to see the expansion of the information that's in these books and the opportunity, because I look at life the same way you do. And I think that's why we felt so connected when we first met, is because, you know, there's this position, I think, as a love-inspired leader that it's not this. It's an evolution. It keeps expanding and growing and shifting into, you know, the next lane of joy to experience. So that is so cool. So I love that. So much this is creating impactful writing, right? And leadership in their position in becoming an author. So it's rooted in living with intention and deep integrity. And that's the other thing that I really respected when I met with you. So can you give us your philosophy or perspective on this concept of living with intention and deep integrity?
Yeah, I'm going to quote somebody else who I don't remember where I got this quote, but it speaks absolutely to the whole thing. If you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. It's the only thing. And I live my life in spiritual terms. I feel that materialism is a very, very sad thing, and we're witnessing a lot of it. Going back to integrity, when you have spirit, you have a spiritual grounding, and you know that you are doing your best with what you have. That's all there is, like at the end of the day, on your last day, are you going to be able to say, I did the best I could with what I had? And that's everything. All of it, like have you ever been in an old folks home where people, their entire self is disappearing? All that there is that their life goes by in 30-second cycles. And so if you know that you did your best, that's everything. And I don't know what it would be like to not know that, but it wouldn't be a good thing, is what I'm saying,
I absolutely agree. And that the fascination for me with life is each of us is finding our gifts, our talents, our expertise based on our life experience to this moment. And it's having that wide berth of curiosity. It's like what you help people do. I love it. Is to take that to the next, because those are the adventures that are memorable. Those are the adventures that are meaningful. Those adventures that come from the heart, that come from that place of purpose, perspective, and also stretch us and expand us to the next. And it's, life is very short. We talked about that before we got on this podcast too. And it's to be cherished and honored. And I journaled about this morning. We're not meant to do this alone. That's why I'm doing this podcast too. I want people to understand that this journey of evolution and growth, expansion, and love and respect and integrity and abundance is here to be shared. It's not meant to be this journey of singleness or alone. So I have another piece in my 6-step aim high system, and it's to create your dream team. It's to have those people around you who believe in you so much that when you forget, oh yeah, that's right, that is what I love, or oh right, that is what I'm good at. Thank you for reminding me. And oh, what a great idea. I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to run with it, right? And it's also to receive that support. But unless you ask, you don't get.
True.
Right. So I just thought I'd leave that in there. So also, there's another interesting avenue we went down when we had our chat. And that is this idea of morning practice, routines and rituals that I know that you incorporate as well, and how it's helped you adapt to life's influences and really grounds your creativity. So this is part of the truth piece of my 6th step, because we got to be accountable here for our energy, for our spiritual foundation, for our health, for our strength of mind, heart, and spirit. So share with us, oh, just got truth bumps again. Isn't that interesting? Share with us how you incorporate some of your, morning or daily practices.
All right. Well, when I first wake up in the morning, my mind wants to go too fast, and it wants to jump right into the world and the cybernetic thought patterns and so on. And so, and I don't even necessarily remember my name at that point, but it's all showing up. So the first thing I do is I make a declaration of choice that I choose to create with the universe to have everything show up through the magic of synchrodestiny. And what this is, it's a synthesis of the synchrodestiny concept comes from a Deepak Chopra meditation, which is a wonderful concept. And then it's also from what they call it, access consciousness. I choose to have it show up. So, and then that, I actually get a visual with that. As soon as I say that, I get a visual of an oval that's gold and it's kind of luminous, and it says, okay, you're here. You can win. And then another one that came in recently was, whatever comes up today, I can handle it. And I'm like, okay, that's good.
No, I'll take that one. Thank you very much.
Right? Whatever comes up, I can handle it because it's just today. And, and it is that. And then I go into a series of meditation practices, and affirmations, specific passage meditation of prayers that I've used for many years, go over those. And at the same time, this may all happen before I get out of bed, or it may not. But then as soon as I get up, I take my herbal anti-vertigo pills and put on a light therapy patch and get dressed and head out the door because it's time to get some exercise. And having said that, my chihuahua often wakes me up at 4, and then I go back to sleep or not quite sleep until it starts to get light. And then I go. Then I come back and I have my breakfast. And along the way, I'm observing. I live in a really nice area where there's lots of trees and there's moss. And I may or may not run into other people who are out walking their dogs. And so we begin. So I do my day, and during the day, I stop every once in a while. And this is a great question. What would this be like if it was easy? If I find that I'm like hung up on something, what would this be like if it was easy? And, when I get back and I'm eating breakfast, I also do scan the news and things like that. I read newsletters that I get in my inbox from different perspectives, global, national, or whatever. And there was something else I was going to say, I forget it. But, that type of thing gives me a framework that I can say, okay, here's the context that I'm in. I'm working from this place. And that's not quite the same as saying, this is my identity. It's kind of saying, okay, here's where I am. And in that way, I'm free from having to, quote, define myself or any of that, because that sort of happens automatically. But I will also say that a new treat that's come into my inbox is the meditations that you've been sending that you do in the morning in your pajamas. I just love that. I've been saving it for my end of the day treat when I'm done with all my stuff. And I do take I take one little Chinese tea pill at the end of my working day it just takes the edge off. It's called Soothing Spirit, and they want you to take a lot more of it than I do. I'm really sensitive. So, herbal medications are fine, and I usually take half or less what they recommend. So, but listening to you and the very simple things that you say has been super fun and nourishing for me.
Oh, beautiful. I'm so glad. And I'll just highlight that what Betty's referring to is I created a complimentary 21-day above the line living. And everyone who is listening to this podcast will also receive that opportunity to participate. And it's basically my contribution as bringing love into the major focus of life and business. And it's to live, love, and lead unapologetically with courage, kindness, forgiveness, and for love of self, because that's what the world needs right now. So I'm so glad you are receiving the gifts of that. And it's a short audio clip, no more than it's 2 to 3 minutes, as well as some reflections. And also I've included some journal prompts. I'm a journaler every morning, and I call it my sacred insights and truths. And I always start it with "Dearest God," and it's just this voice of wisdom that I write into form. It's only 1 page, and I do the recording after that to contribute, because I think it is our responsibility to make a difference in this world in whatever way that we are purposeful and passionate about. And I've been honored to learn some incredible lessons, and I just want to share that. So thank you. And I love your question. How can I make this easy? I want every single person who's listening right now to realize how profound that question is, because we can make it easy by making that choice and just asking ourselves that open-ended question and listening to that internal voice of wisdom within and the answer to that. Because, we're here for such a short time, and, we got to find our way to create less chaos, less complication, less stress. And it's not up to anybody else but ourselves. It's our job. It's our responsibility, and we're accountable for all of it. Yeah, that's the truth, right? So, wow, that was kind of fun. Thank you. So let me ask you this one. So you really support these authors to navigate tough life situations sometimes and turn that adversity into a creative breakthrough. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. Is there one other story that you can share with us? I know that you've supported a lot of people here, but is there another story that pops into mind in, sharing with us, where they were, how this book supported and transformed their life and their choices and breakthrough after?
Well, this is interesting. The first one, the one that really comes to mind is one of the first books that I worked on in cooperation with the author. And it's going to be not the answer that I would have liked to give, but I will give you the answer. So my dear friend had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 4 years earlier, and told that she should pack up, get her affairs in order, and so on. And she continued to live and went through many, many things, and wrote a book about the cancer journey, and resources that she had found, what she had learned along the way. She was an absolute paragon of human integrity, legendary networker, absolutely wonderful person, very, very dear friend. And we worked together on her book. When she came to my writing workshop and said, "I'm so glad to meet an editor because I hate editing, and I have this book, and what do you think?" So I said, "Of course, I'd love to work with you." And she was one of the people who along the way said, "Is anybody even going to care? Does anybody even want to read this?" And I said, "Are you kidding? You're like a walking miracle. Stop," right? Anyway, she continued, and we completed the book. She went with a publisher and built an amazing, legendary book brigade and a huge community of people who supported her, and was in the middle of getting into pioneering stem cells therapy. for it, for the miracle cure. When the first time I saw her after she had one of these treatments, I barely recognized her. She was glowing, like just glowing, and spiritually was feeling fulfilled that she, had found her voice with this. And she was very used to the concept that, this could be the last day, Anyway, so we completed her book and and it was during COVID. We put together a virtual book launch for her. We got the book launched and she was all lined up for the next treatment, but her white blood cell count collapsed and she didn't make the next treatment. And therefore, she left the world, right at the cusp of the miracle. It was like, okay, here you are, but you're going to heaven instead. And, I visited her right before the end and she clearly, she got it. She understood. And the last things that she wanted to talk about were not about herself, but about other people, the network that we were both part of, and things like that. So that's an example of her feeling like, I have this thing, it feels like a blob. Can you help me with this? And then there were certain parts of it that she couldn't write because they were too emotional. And so I would do the ghostwriting to bridge it from one place to another to make the book work.
Wow. Yeah, that book is her living legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will carry on and support, so many other women in the world. And that's a beautiful, beautiful story, and one of courage and inspiration too. And I think truly a book lasts forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Writing is the most durable medium. You think about the words that have lasted for thousands of years, when the societies and the structures and the buildings that supported the people who wrote them are gone. Would their words remain?
How beautiful is that? Oh my goodness. Okay, for the audience out there, aren't you inspired to write your own book? Tell your story? Oh, this is so great. So, creativity really flourishes when it's nourished from many wells. Mm-hmm. It's art, it's movement, it's language, and courage. So, how do you keep your own creativity fresh and dynamic across all these artistic mediums within yourself?
I do the best I can with what I've got. I know that I need more rest than most people. I always have been the one who sleeps more than others. And I don't judge myself for that, because I know that if I don't get enough rest, I'm a grouch and nobody needs that, and I'm not even good at what I do. So there's that. And I work in, I have a little garden that I go to. Growing food is one of my great things. I was a rancher for many years, and I still just really love seeing the plants grow and, fiddling around in the dirt. I work in textile mediums. I did a lot in fashion earlier in my life, but now I have a couple of small boutiques. So I make little one-of-a-kind things that go into boutiques.
Beautiful.
And I take walks a lot. I'm fortunate to live right near the ocean. And last weekend I said, you've got to go down there. It's not that far. So I took a nice long ocean walk and smelled that. And really connecting with nature is the big one for me.
It is for me too. I call it nature's nourishment. That's what I call it. It's beautiful. And I do every day too. I live right beside the ocean here too. And I feel so fortunate. And also, I think grounds us in what matters most in life and business. And it's a gift to experience nature in such a present and receiving way. I mean, I love flowers. If you saw where I lived, you'd say, okay, there's flowers everywhere. There's flowers on every wall. There's flowers outside. there's flowers inside. Flowers bring me joy, and also seeing things grow like you. It nourishes my soul. It truly does. So thank you for that. So one of the final questions is going to be this one. And so in our audience, there may be people who are listening that feel really stuck in their life, and they really want to reignite their creative spark and move forward with their writing or their leadership. What would you recommend that they can do to tap into igniting that creative spark?
Well, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation on my website. And it's www.thewriterslaunchpad.com. And then you can just click schedule a call, and there's no pressure. There's no obligation. I love talking to people. My favorite topic in the world is, what do different groups of people find to be important? So it's a lifelong research project here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So writing a book is a journey, right? It's not an event. It's a journey. So, and the integration, I love the way you phrase it, that it's the voice, it's the story, and the purpose that shapes both author and reader. So how has the experiences of your clients deepened your position and understanding of being a love-inspired leader in your role through that process?
Well, one thing I've learned is that I'm not for everyone. And I have learned when it's time to really say no in a process. And that, even in a networking event, I'm coming from a different angle than a lot of people are. I want to be in spiritual harmony with the people I work with and have a long-term relationship with them and see what else we could do together. What
Collaborate.
Second book. Another one has just sent me this first chapter of her second book. This is what I really want. And because it's community and it's sharing of mind and of spirit, I believe that everything I need will be, and most of what I want will be given to me when it's the right time. In fact, everything that I want will come at the right time. It's a lot of it ends up being lined up with what the universe has in mind here.
Absolutely. We try and control. I mean, that's a huge part of what the 21-day above the line living is about, is we think we're in control of everything here. We are not. The only thing I'm in control of is what I think, what I choose to speak, and what I choose to take action on. So anything externally, I agree with you. And, I personally call it God's plan. It's not my plan. So, even in this podcast, I just keep moving to the next place and position that I am invited and called to. I meet people, and then I invite them to come and share their wisdom and their purpose and passion here. And, I just know it's going to lead to great things to contribute to people's lives around the planet. And so there is a position of surrender as a love-inspired leader too, is that, and it frees up, I think, energy and space for grace, that I call it, which is having this faith and trust, right?
So true. When you let love lead and you stop saying, I need to have it my way, or directing circumstances in some fashion, there's so much more room for everything. But one of the more important things is there's more room to enjoy your life, which makes you a better person. When I really believe that people are better people when they're happy. Everyone who I've known who is miserable is not that you can't contribute when you're miserable. That's the problem, you know?
No, it's close to impossible to be in service. That's why when I go to restaurants or I receive a service, at the dentist or anywhere I go, dry cleaning, and I have someone who I can see is truly loving their life and really appreciating with enormous gratitude to be in service to where they are. And I just pour love all over them. I just say, and I say what people don't say. I say, do you have any idea how great it is to be a client of yours? Do you have any idea how good I feel just because you're being you? They're like, what? Really? Oh, that's noticing. Thank you. I say, well, it's intentional. I can see that. So thank you. Thank you. And I think that we can, as human beings, look at appreciating people on more of a, like you say, voice, words, energy form than we do, because people don't get to hear the good often enough. And that's part of my 6th step at the Aim High system. I mean, when things are good, we got to celebrate, and we have to show up and speak up what that is and share together in that positivity, right? Yeah. So I love that your reminder to us is that language is an art, and that every voice matters and is a gift to us all. And thank you so much for continuing this evolution and journey that you're on with such a state of grace and integrity and commitment. I feel your dedication to your clients. And I think that is, the authentic way to be in service from our highest self, is to know that position and show up to be that way. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here on my podcast and sharing your wisdom and care with my audience. And you have a gift for everybody here too, don't you? That for listeners longing to get started in your resource is your 5 steps to flow. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's also on the homepage of my website. And what it is the exact way that I support authors in their books. The first thing you get is a PDF that outlines, what are these 5 steps, creating an outline, the tools that are used, and so on. Voice to text, Google Drive, other things like that I use in collaboration. I don't use those with every author, but they're very handy things, and not everyone knows about them. And then there's a follow-up series of, expanding on these different points and invitations to connect with me if you're curious about what it would be like to work.
I think the whole concept of being an author is just beginning. I mean, I know there's a lot more people now wanting to write books than there ever has been, because they don't want to leave without that story being told. They don't want to leave this incredible journey of life without telling that story. So thank you for your gift. And I also want to let the audience know that they can receive my 21-day sacred insight journey to unleash your own authentic power and live and love unapologetically. So that will be available for you in the show notes here as well. And that is my gift as well to you in the journey of self-discovery and presence and your own personal position to serve as a love-inspired leader. And as always, how are you inviting creativity, integrity, and love into your leadership today? If this episode sparked something new, share it with a friend and subscribe for more luminous conversations of truth every week. Thank you. Thank you, Betty. And until next time, I'm Carolyn Cooper of the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on the Love Inspired Leadership Podcast. If today's episode stirred something in your soul, share it with someone who's ready to aim higher. Keep holding your vision, anchor in your truth, and take intentional, inspired action, because love is all there is.
Hey, I'm Michelle Abraham, founder of the High Vibe Podcast Network, and we are honored to have Carolyn Cooper's Love Inspired Leadership show as part of our network family. For more inspiring shows like this one, visit highvibepodcastnetwork.com, and don't forget to grab your free gifts from our hosts in the gift folds. Till then, stay high vibe and keep sharing your life.